So if you remember a lesson or so ago, I said that countries that were by an ocean were going to be more powerful during this time period because they could travel farther around the world using the ships because they're right by the ocean. So we already talked about how Spain is claiming this part of North and South America over here. But now there's another country that's going to want to become more powerful too, and that's this country right here, France. France is going to also want to take over land around the world. So they are going to come and they're going to start claiming land in this northern part of North America, of what is now Canada, and then eventually going down the Mississippi River in the middle here. So that's where this lesson today is about the first French colonies. People from France we call them French. So they are going to also start setting up settlements here. They were also looking for the Northwest Passage, which we talked about last lesson, does not exist. So they did that for a while, but then nothing really happened. They had a few French people over here looking for furs, especially the beaver. Then they realized, you know what? We need to get over there more. We need to get more people. So starting around 1598, they started to establish a place they would call New France. And they're going to start this colony of New France up here around Canada. And it started with a small settlement called Quebec. And Quebec would eventually become a very big city, but it started out as just a fur trading post where Native Americans and others would bring their furs to trade. And it was because of Samuel de Champlain starting Quebec that New France was going to be very popular. And it helped a lot that fur coats and fur hats were becoming an increased desire in Europe. So people wanted them. And they were willing to spend a lot of money for that. So they began making a lot of money on the fur trade, which we'll learn more about next year in sixth grade. So Samuel de Champlain knew in order to be successful, he had to have a good relationship with the Native Americans. So he wanted to become allies with them. This term allies means you basically are on the same side. You are working together, whether it's in government or if you're fighting against somebody, you work together. So that's what ally is. And so they allied with the Wyandot and Algonquin. And he knew, so that's what Samuel de Champlain did. He knew he needed to have strong support from the Native Americans. Then New France is going to expand and become bigger. Now, there's two terms I want you to know about here, imports and exports. The term imports refers to goods that are coming into a country, or the opposite, export, are goods sent to another country. So an example could be like, let's say an Xbox. Xboxes are something that are made in the United States. And if they're sent to a different country, they are exports. They're exiting the country. So those are exports. And now there's a type of car, let's say, I think it's a Lamborghini, is made in Europe. The Lamborghini comes into the United States, it's an import because it's coming in from a different country. So goods today sent from the United States to, like, say, Canada, those are exports. Goods that are coming from Canada into the United States, those are called imports. You also read about the fur trade here is voyageurs are people that helped with the fur trade. Well, again, we'll learn more about them in sixth grade. We have a whole chapter on the fur trade and voyageurs. But basically, voyageurs did all the heavy lifting. They paddled the canoes, bringing the furs from all over the place. Then the leaders of France, in this case was King Louis, see right here, King Louis the 13th, wanted to make it bigger. So he allowed more French colonies to French colonists, more settlers from France, to come there to try to claim it. So now you can see on this map, that's where France settled. And most of it was around the Great Lakes because of the fur trade. So there's some other names in here that are mentioned, like a 17-year-old named Etienne Brule. He was also exploring for the Northwest Passage, which you remember from last lesson, it doesn't exist. So they're searching for something that doesn't exist. But they started exploring more and more, eventually getting to the western part of the Great Lakes. Another explorer was Jean Nicolet, and he explored a little bit more for France. So again, Spain was already involved in the New World, claiming land. And this whole lesson, the first French colonies, talked about how France wanted to get involved. All their kings wanted more land. Because back then, The more land your country had, the bigger your empire, and the bigger your empire, the more power you had. And kings wanted their power. Um, so now France is going to have a settlement in the New World. If you have any questions about any of the stuff you're working on, please let me know. Otherwise, have a great day. Take care. Bye.